Millionaire discovers heartwarming truth when he follows Mom's shocking sacrifice for baby milk. Jack Reynolds leaned back in his leather chair, a smug smile on his face as he flipped through the channels. Another day, another dinner party to impress his fellow millionaires. Business was booming, and all he had to do was nod and smile for the camera. But something drew him in as a local news segment flickered on. There, on the screen, was Maria, a single mother in tears, struggling to afford baby formula for her newborn. She worked night shifts at a diner, juggling countless hardships that weighed on her shoulders like a boulder. Jack's heart tingled with intrigue, a feeling he hadn't experienced in years. He scoffed. Didn't every parent make sacrifices? Yet as he watched Maria cradle her baby against her chest, tears streaming down her face, he felt an unfamiliar pull. Wasn't he supposed to be the knight in shining armor, riding in on his golden steed, ready to save those less fortunate with his checkbook? With a determined glint in his eye, Jack decided to investigate. What if he swooped in and saved her, transforming her life forever? He pictured the gratitude reflected in her eyes, the way the community would praise him. But as he drove through Maria's neighborhood, his idealistic expectations shattered. The streets were filled not with despair, but with an inspiring community spirit. Families shared food, laughter echoed, and children played together, creating a vibrant tapestry of love and resilience. He met Frank, a local veteran with wise eyes and a weathered face. "You know, kid, true strength is found in community," Frank said, his voice gravelly but welcoming. "We're all struggling, but we lift each other up." Jack felt a strange warmth wash over him. Was it pride or shame? He thought of the board meetings, the humorless exchanges with fellow millionaires, and how empty it all felt in comparison. Frank shared stories of his sacrifices, and Jack listened, absorbed. The understanding that swept over him was profound, like a shattered mirror reflecting lost pieces of his past. He realized just how far he'd run from the working-class roots that once shaped him. As Frank spoke of his own mother's struggles, memories bubbled up within Jack, his mother's weary eyes, the smell of burnt toast in the mornings, the late nights when they barely scraped by. Suddenly, the weight of his privilege felt unbearable. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." As Jack's mind raced between guilt and pride, he found himself at Maria's diner, the hum of clinking dishes and laughter filling the air. He watched her serve customers with a radiant smile, all while her eyes held exhaustion beyond belief. The more he understood her sacrifices, the more he questioned his own path. Could he really swoop in with money and fix everything? Or was his presence only a shadow across her struggles? Standing on the brink of this revelation, he felt his heart race. Would he finally confront the past he'd tried so desperately to outrun? Or would he retreat back into his lofty world, forever changed yet too afraid to act? The crossroads loomed ahead, and Jack knew that whatever choice he made next could change everything. Jack stepped into the diner, the warmth wrapping around him like an embrace, but it was a facade. The familiar scent of greasy burgers mixed with the sweetness of pie tugged at his memory, conjuring echoes of his childhood. He remembered the cheerful noise around the dinner table, even amidst the hardships. There was a resilience in that chaos, something he had forgotten in his pursuit of wealth. He watched as Maria deftly moved between tables, a worn apron framing her figure. Every interaction she had was laced with kindness, every smile genuine. How could someone so burdened carry such light? The thought unsettled him. "Rough day?" a diner regular asked Maria, and for a brief moment her smile faltered as she replied, "Just the usual, but I can't complain." Jack's heart ached. Did anyone truly see her? Beneath the bravado of her cheerful demeanor was a struggle he sensed all too well. He was drawn to her, Not because he wanted to save her, but because he wanted to understand. After a moment's hesitation, he approached the counter. "Hey, can I get a coffee?" His voice surprised him. It was softer than he intended. Maria looked up, her brow furrowing slightly in confusion. "Sure, coming right up." As she poured the steaming liquid into a cup, Jack took a moment to study her. The lines on her forehead were etched deep from worry. Yet, her eyes sparkled with an undying strength. It was captivating. "Thanks," he said as she placed the cup in front of him, their fingers brushing lightly. An electric jolt passed through him, revealing a connection he had never anticipated. "Anything else I can get you?" she asked, wiping her hands on her apron. She had an air of practiced professionalism that made him respect her even more. "Actually, I wanted to ask you something," he started, his stomach churning with anxiety. "I saw your story on the news. Pulled at my heartstrings. I wanted to help." The words tumbled out, unfiltered, catching him off guard. Her gaze sharpened, doubt flickering in her eyes. "Help? How?" "I can provide some financial support. Maybe help with rent or supplies." He felt a rush of vulnerability. His offer sounded hollow. Even as he spoke, Maria crossed her arms, shielding herself. "Why would you want to do that?" she asked, her voice steady yet guarded. "People don't just offer help for nothing." Jack shifted on his stool, the weight of her skepticism pressing down on him. "I guess I need to give back to make sense of my privilege," he admitted. Her unwavering gaze made him question everything he thought he knew about helping others. "What do you think I need, Mr. Reynolds? Money? That's not the way this works." Maria's voice softened, revealing a hint of weariness. "And that doesn't define my struggle." He felt a ripple of emotions: admiration, frustration, and admiration for her fight to maintain dignity. "No, I guess it doesn't," he conceded. "But I want to try. I mean, is there anything I can do?" Her expression shifted, a flicker of vulnerability in her stoic facade. Jack realized then that his offer, however well-intentioned, felt transactional against the backdrop of her reality. She considered him for a moment that stretched on, her thoughtful brow furrowing. "You want to help?" she finally asked, each word deliberate. "Then understand my world first." And with that, she walked away, leaving Jack to wrestle with the storm brewing inside him. Understanding wasn't something he could afford to take lightly. As the sun began to dip below the horizon, painting the diner in hues of orange and purple, one thing became clear. He had a long way to go before he could truly grasp her reality. What if the real journey was not about giving, but rather learning? Jack knew he had to dive deeper, but what awaited him in Maria's world? A truth he might not be ready to face? Jack sat in the booth, cradling his coffee as he stared out the window. The fading light danced across the diner's linoleum floor, and he could hear the world bustling outside. Cars honked, laughter chimed, life thrived. Yet, inside, he felt frozen, grappling with Maria's challenge to understand her reality. Her words echoed in his mind. "Understand my world first." What a task that felt like. He considered the sheltered life he had led, filled with privilege and opportunities served on a silver platter. Had he ever opened himself up to anyone outside his bubble? To the struggles that faced so many? He looked back at the counter where Maria was making small talk with the other customers. Her laughter bubbled up like a melody, yet he could see the sadness lurking behind her smile, tiny shadows hidden in her bright eyes. Jack's heart tightened. He couldn't just sit back and let the moment pass by. He had to learn what it meant to really help, even if that started with just listening. Rising from the booth, he made his way back to the counter, intention sparking in his chest. "Maria?" She turned, surprise flickering across her face. "You're back. I want to understand," he blurted out, the courage of his admission surprising even him. "Can you show me what your day is like?" Maria paused, her expression shifting into a mix of skepticism and something else, curiosity. "Maybe. You really want to know?" "Yes." He nods earnestly, feeling the moment stretch delicately between them. "I want to learn." Her gaze softened slightly. "All right, but it's not pretty. You might not like what you find." I don't expect it to be pretty, he replied. But that's okay. I want to see. After a heartbeat, she motioned toward the door. Fine. Meet me at the corner store in 20 minutes. You can help me with my inventory. A spark of determination ignited within him. I'll be there, he said before rushing out, anticipation buzzing through his veins. The corner store was a small, cramped space that smelled faintly of cleaning supplies infused with fresh bread. It was one of the local hangouts, a place where kids joked around and older folks caught up on gossip. The shelves were stocked but not overflowing, and there was a certain charm to the clutter. He spotted Maria at the back of the store. Her sleeves rolled up as she carefully organized the items. You ready to work? She asked without looking up. Jack joined her, manning the other side of the counter where he sorted cans of soup. It was tedious, but he soon found a rhythm, enjoying the simplicity of the task. Do you do this every day? He asked, breaking the silence. Most days, she replied, her voice steady and unfiltered. As a way to make ends meet. Between the diner and this, I'm barely scraping by. A knot formed in his stomach. That's a lot. She shrugged, glancing at him. What do you expect? This is reality for a lot of folks. He watched her as she worked, the weariness in her movements bleeding into the surrounding air. Does it get any easier? Not really, she admitted, lifting a box onto the shelf with resolve. But you learn to find joy in the little things. Family, friends, those are everything. Jack contemplated her words. He had lived more days than he could count, a lifetime privileged, but somehow lacking in these basic connections. Maybe it was true. Perhaps giving wasn't simply about money. Maybe it was about sharing burdens, experiences, and building bridges. Remember when we brushed hands earlier? Jack ventured, wanting to pull her into a deeper conversation. Maria glanced at him, brow raised. Yeah, what about it? I felt something, he said, heat rising to his cheeks. Connecting with you felt real, different, like I wanted to be part of something bigger. For a moment, silence blanketed them. Then she opened up, a mixture of vulnerability and strength swirling in her eyes. Connection doesn't come easily for me either, Jack. Takes time. Did he dare hope she would lower her walls? As they fell back into task, he sensed a shift in the air, hope flickering faintly. Real or not, he wanted to see this. Through to understand. Across the room, a young boy entered the store, eyes wide with excitement, clutching a crumpled dollar bill. He approached the counter, an innocent smile plastered on his face. Can I get a candy bar? The boy asked, glancing expectantly up at Maria. Jack's gut twisted at the innocence of the request. He could sense the weight of choices hanging in the balance like a ripe fruit ready to fall. Would Maria deny the boy's wish? Moments like these could crack open a window into broader struggles, ones he couldn't quite imagine yet. How far will Jack go to truly grasp what it means to connect to another's world? And what reflections of his own life would he have to confront in the process? Jack held his breath, watching Maria's face as the boy's small voice cut through the air, piercing the dull hum of the store. For a fleeting moment, he thought he could read her thoughts, the internal conflict playing out behind her eyes. She hesitated, glancing at the small chocolate bar at her fingertips. The childish smile was pure, radiant in its simplicity. The dollar bill, tattered from use, was a small piece of hope, a symbol of childhood dreams resting on decisions that loomed larger in the shadows. Please? The boy urged, shifting his weight from foot to foot. Maria glanced at the clock on the wall, her face tight. I can't, not this time. Jack's heart sank. He felt the tug of the boy's innocence in his gut. Maria, he started, thinking of the little sacrifices that sometimes piled up until they were more than could be borne. Maria turned to him, her voice lowered but firm. I can't give that to him every time, Jack. That just means I have to take something away from someone else. But that's just a candy bar, he said, desperation creeping into his tone. It's just a moment for him. Maria straightened, her frustration simmering just beneath the surface. And it's moments for me too. Every time I give away something, it's a choice. A choice to stretch the dollar a little thinner. She pinched her lips, holding back a wave of emotions. Jack watched her closely, Realizing this was about much more than the boy and his candy bar. This was about sacrifice, survival, and the heartbreak of hard choices that so many face daily without any acknowledgement from the people like him, those wrapped in warmth and privilege. Maybe you could bring in other things for him, Jack suggested, feeling his pulse quickening. Some extra treats when you can. It might not have to come out of your pocket. Maria studied him, considering the possibility. You really think that's going to be enough? Yes, he replied, tears prickling his eyes as he thought of his own life, so often filled with excess at others' expense. You show them that you care. You teach them kindness matters. A faint smile cracked Maria's facade, though she seemed uncertain. You really think a little kindness can change things? Maybe not everything, he said earnestly, but it could change someone's day. Like a ripple effect. The boy, still patiently waiting, looked up at them both, eyes wide. Jack smiled down at him. How about we find you something else to take home today? Maria's gaze flickered between Jack and the boy, and for a moment, vulnerability danced across her features. Okay, just this once. Jack felt an upsurge of warmth as Maria reached under the counter to grab a few candy bars. With a hesitant smile, she handed them over, her voice softening. Here you go, buddy. Just don't tell anyone. All right? The boy's face lit up as he clutched the treats, beaming with delight. Thank you, he exclaimed, racing toward the door, leaving a trail of laughter behind him as the bell dinged, signaling his departure. Something clicked inside Jack. He wanted to create more moments like this, moments that lifted people up rather than weighed them down. He thought of Maria's burdens, the shadows lurking just beyond her laughter. It's easy to give what you have in abundance, Jack said quietly, watching her as she moved with a newfound lightness. But you're doing so much with everything you don't have. Maria looked at him, her expression mixed with uncertainty and impressing. You really see it, don't you? But this is just a drop in the bucket. What about tomorrow? Tomorrow starts with this. Jack insisted, almost breathless. This can grow. She nodded slowly, lifting her chin with renewed resolve. We'll see. Jack's heart thudded in his chest, the air thick with unspoken potential. What if they could do more? What if he could help her, not just today but in ways that echoed long past this moment? As the minutes passed, ideas began swirling in Jack's mind, every thought igniting a fire of ambition he hadn't felt before. He wanted to keep pushing, to go further than what was easy or expected. Maria, what if we organized something? He began, excitement coloring his voice. What if we created a community event? Something that could rally the people together? Her eyes widened, the flicker of hope shining just beneath the surface. Like what? I don't know yet. But I know there's more we can do if we get people to care. What if they don't? She teased, but Jack could see the gleam of interest in her gaze. Then, just like that, a spark ignited between them. Possibilities expanded around the cramped store, dreams laid before them like open doors. But while excitement buzzed in the air, doubt gnawed at the edges. Would this be enough? With unfinished thoughts swirling, a quiet remained, filled with anticipation. Jack could feel the weight of their ambitions, a slowly rising tide pressing against the dam of uncertainty. What would it take for them to turn these dreams into reality? What heartaches and struggles still lay ahead on this path to understanding? Jack's mind raced with the new possibilities. A community event could be their platform, a way to bring everyone together, to share, to care. But he could feel the weight of cynicism creeping back in. What if no one showed up? What if the work was for nothing? Maria leaned against the counter, her expression shifting from uncertainty to contemplation. A community event? That sounds a little ambitious, don't you think? What do you even mean by that? With fervor, Jack began outlining his thoughts. Think about it. We could partner with local businesses, set up booths, have activities for kids, and invite people to share stories. If we can show them that kindness matters, then maybe, just maybe, we can shift something in our community. Her brows knitted together. And where exactly do you think we'll find the time or resources for all that? We start small. We could do a potluck, get people to bring their favorite dishes. Something simple that fosters connection. It'll be a way to introduce the larger idea gradually, he insisted, his voice bubbling with enthusiasm. Maria's skepticism softened. Potluck sounds nice, but what happens next? Are we just supposed to sit around sharing food and stories? That doesn't solve anyone's problems. No, Jack replied, slowing down to meet her gaze. But it's a start. Relationships grow from shared experiences. If we can build trust, we can start tackling the bigger issues together. A flicker of hope sparked in her eyes, the kind that made Jack's heart race. You really believe this could work? I do, he said, sincerity flooding his voice. But I need your help. You know this community better than I do. We can make an impact. They stood there, the clutter of the store around them fading into the background. Jack's heart hammered, the anticipation of what could come next hanging thick in the air. All he needed was for Maria to jump in with him, to dare to believe that they could bridge the gap between scarcity and abundance in their community. Okay, she said finally, a hint of a smile creeping onto her lips. I'm in. But this isn't going to be easy. I wouldn't have it any other way, Jack replied, a rush of adrenaline coursing through him as they began tossing around ideas. Jack noticed the bell above the door jingle again. A group of teenagers entered, loud and boisterous, filling the store with energy. Their carefree laughter was infectious, igniting a new wave of inspiration in him. What if we had them involved? He suggested. They could help with the event. Young people have talents to share. They could lead games, perform music. It'll promote unity. Maria chuckled softly, and they might even the youth want to feel valued, don't they? Exactly. This is about everybody, Jack proclaimed, the picture in his mind expanding even further. We can invite each group in the community to contribute. It'll become a tapestry of our strengths interwoven together. Maria nodded, her apprehension beginning to settle. Okay, let us do it. If we're really going to pull this off, we need to think carefully, maybe with small meetings to brainstorm. We could suddenly. The excitement shifted as a loud crash echoed from the back room of the store. They both turned instinctively. Moments later, one of the teenagers stumbled into view, a box of canned goods spilling out at his feet. Oh man, I'm so sorry, he exclaimed, embarrassed. I was just trying to help. Jack and Maria exchanged quick glances. The burst of chaos, a jarring reminder of the unpredictable world they were about to navigate. A small smile tugged at his lips. See? Jack said, excitement tinged with a hint of realism. That's part of this journey. It won't be perfect, but we'll grow with it. We just have to commit. Maria grinned, the energy around them renewed. All right, you're on. Let us roll with it. As they began organizing their ideas with the teens eager to assist, laughter and chatter filled the store. Jack's heart swelled watching everyone come together in a way he had only dreamed of. But as they moved forward, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that obstacles still lurked in the shadows, waiting to test their resolve. What challenges would they face as they opened the doors to their community? Would their vision hold strong when confronted with unexpected trials? The excitement in the air buzzed like electricity, each voice layering into a symphony of shared aspirations. Jack felt alive, every ounce of worry pushing aside as the idea of a community potluck took shape. He rifled through plans in his head, imagining colorful tables lined with dishes from all corners of the neighborhood. As the teenagers began brainstorming, Maria caught Jack's eye. The glimmer of her initial skepticism had faded, replaced by a newfound determination. Let us gather ideas and a list of what we need, she said, voice steady and purposeful. If we really want everyone to join in, we need to create a welcoming atmosphere. Jack nodded, scribbling notes on the back of an old receipt. We can print flyers, share them on social media. We'll need volunteers to help decorate, too. From the group of teens, Alex, the boy who had knocked over the cans, raised his hand. I can design the flyer. I'm into graphic arts. We can make it look cool. His enthusiasm was infectious, lifting everyone's spirits even higher. Perfect. We need people to know this is going to be something big, Maria encouraged. And inviting everyone means we should make it accessible, different cuisines. activities for kids. Jack felt his heart race, hearing the sound of their growing ideas. It felt like a spark had igniting a sense of purpose within the group. But as voices grew more animated, a shadow passed over him. There was still the ever-present question at the back of his mind. How far would they get with so many obstacles? As discussions continued, Maria stepped outside for a breath of fresh air, a moment to gather her thoughts. Jack followed her, sensing the need for a quick huddle. The weight of their budding project pressed down on him. "Hey," he said gently, drawing her attention. "You've been in this community longer than I have. What do you think? Am I being naive?" Maria pulled in a breath, considering. "No, not naive, maybe a bit overly optimistic, but that's not necessarily bad. People need hope. They need to believe that things can change, start somewhere." Jack smiled, feeling the weight lift. "So, if we keep it realistic and focused while being hopeful, maybe we can balance it. We can't do this alone." "Exactly. And we've got each other," she replied, her resolve shining through. "But there are things we haven't considered yet. What if the local businesses don't want to participate? Or what if someone has a negative response?" He felt a pang in his chest. That fear is valid. But we won't know unless we try, right? It's about opening the door to conversations. We can't please everyone, but if we don't ask, we'll never know what's possible. As they stood on the edge of the store's threshold, a few more teens joined them, their youthfulness contrasting against the weight of their discussion. Words of ideas and insecurity collided in the air, forming a blend of hope and uncertainty. "Oh, can I help too?" A girl named Tessa chimed in, her face lit up with excitement. "I bake the best cookies. Maybe we can have a bake sale as part of the potluck?" A chorus of agreements erupted, each new voice contributing to the momentum. Jack's heart swelled as laughter mingled with ideas, melting away the tension that had lingered moments before. This engagement was what he envisioned, a true community coming together. But the doorbell jingled again, and an older gentleman walked in, a familiar scowl on his face. Jack recognized Mr. Thompson, the owner of the local barber shop, known for his critical nature. The conversations halted. The energy shifted as the air filled with uncertainty. "What's all this ruckus about?" Mr. Thompson barked, scanning the room. The warmth that had surrounded them moments ago now felt fragile, like glass ready to shatter. Jack exchanged a glance with Maria, anxiety creeping up his spine. How would they respond to the skepticism of someone unwilling to embrace change? What if Mr. Thompson's words discouraged the spark they had just ignited? "Let us see what he has to say," Maria whispered, determination in her eyes. Jack nodded, realizing this moment could either make their vision stronger or threaten to break it. As they approached Mr. Thompson, Jack felt the pounding of his heart drown out all other noise. Would they be able to convince him that this community could come together, or would doubt drive a wedge between their dreams? Mr. Thompson shifted his weight, eyes narrowing as he surveyed the group of excited teens. Jack could feel the tension weaving through the air like a heavy fog. This was at a moment when everything they had built in just moments could collapse. Jack exchanged another glance with Maria, who stepped forward, taking the lead. "Mr. Thompson, we're planning a community potluck," Maria explained, her voice steady. "It's meant to bring everyone together, to foster a sense of belonging. We really believe it could help strengthen our neighborhood." The older man raised an eyebrow, skeptical. "A potluck? Sounds a bit naive to me. People don't just come together anymore. This town's been divided for years." Jack's heart sank, but he sensed Maria readying her counter. "You say that, but maybe that's why this potluck is needed. It's a chance to reconnect, to show that we care about our neighbors. We want everyone to feel included," she said earnestly. "Nice sentiment. But do you really think it'll make a difference?" Mr. Thompson crossed his arms, clearly unconvinced. The teens shifted uncomfortably, but Jack felt a spark of courage igniting within him. "It might not fix everything overnight, but it can start something. We can open up conversations that might lead to real change. Isn't that worth trying?" Mr. Thompson's frown deepened. "You kids don't know what you're asking for," he huffed. "People bear scars, trust is hard to earn back. Do you really think a few dishes of food can mend that? Jack's breath caught. This wasn't just about food or fun. It was about the invisible fissures that ran through their community. And suddenly, it felt like all those uncertainties came rushing back, the doubts he tried so hard to push away. Maybe we can't fix everything, Maria added, stepping closer as her voice softened. But when I look at everyone here, I see potential. I see hope. Just look at how excited Tessa is about those cookies. Eyes pivoted to Tessa, who beamed back at them, a cookie-loving enthusiasm that felt infectious. What if we shift the narrative? Jack continued, feeling the words spill out before he could think them through. What if, instead of fearing rejection, we focus on the joy of coming together? Each person can bring their own story. Our community is made up of layers, with every dish telling a tale. Isn't that worth trying to explore? An unexpected stillness enveloped the room, like a pause before the storm. Mr. Thompson blinked, the skepticism in his eyes wavering, just for a moment. Jack took a breath, heart pounding, pushing through the wavering line between tension and hope. We only need a chance, Mr. Thompson. A chance to show this community spirit isn't just a memory. It's alive and breathes through every one of us. The silence that followed felt heavy, but it was a hopeful heavy. Jack shifted on his feet, anticipation coiling around him. After what felt like an eternity, Mr. Thompson sighed, his expression softening. Fine. But if this goes south or you kids get in over your heads, you can't say I didn't warn you. Cheers erupted from the group, laughter breaking the tension like sunlight piercing clouds. But as Jack glanced at Maria, a flicker of understanding passed between them. They had gained a foothold, but the climb was only beginning. Thank you, Mr. Thompson, Maria said, her smile bright. We'll make you proud. Just remember, it takes more than good food to bridge a divide. You'll need to roll up your sleeves, he warned, his tone gruff but somehow kind. As Mr. Thompson wandered away, the laughter in the room resumed, but Jack could feel the weight of Mr. Thompson's warning hanging over them. Jack's heart fluttered with excitement and apprehension. How would they handle the pushback from their neighbors? What if their efforts fell flat? He turned to Maria, the embers of determination still glowing in her eyes. They had taken the first step, but now they needed to make it count. What's next? He asked, the question lingering in the air like a challenge. Next? Maria paused, the joy of the moment intertwining with the seriousness of the task ahead. Next, we spread the word and make sure everyone knows they're invited. We need to get to work. Jack's pulse quickened, the thrill of their mission rekindling. But still, doubts loomed in the corners of his mind. What if this was more than just a potluck? What if it unraveled deeper issues they weren't prepared to face? And as the crowd buzzed with excitement, Jack couldn't help but wonder if they were really ready for the challenges ahead. The next day, vibrant sunshine poured through the windows as Jack and Maria gathered at their favorite cafe, laptops open, preparing for the day ahead. The scent of brewing coffee filled the air, igniting a mix of energy and nerves. They had a task at hand, one that felt monumental now that Mr. Thompson had given them the green light. Okay, so we want to make sure everyone feels invited, Maria said, tapping her fingers nervously on the edge of the laptop. That means flyers, social media posts, maybe even door-to-door visits? Jack nodded, excitement bubbling in his chest. Let's make the flyer colorful, something inviting that catches the eye. We should include a space for everyone to sign up with what they're bringing. I love that idea. Maria's smile lit up, momentarily pushing her worries aside. We should emphasize that every dish has a story. It'll create an emotional connection. As they brainstormed, Jack noticed the way Maria's eyes sparkled with ambition. This wasn't just an event for her, it was a mission. He felt the same fire starting to ignite within him again, shaking off the remnants of doubt from yesterday. But the nervousness crept back as flashes of past arguments between neighbors flitted through his mind. What if someone lashes out, or shows up with a bad attitude? Maria leaned closer, her tone serious but reassuring. We can't control other people's reactions, Jack. But we can lead by example. Positive vibe can be contagious. He appreciated her unwavering outlook, but Jack still felt a lump in his throat. Could joy really overcome years of strain? They spent the next few hours diving into tasks, their focus honing in on every detail, creating a lively flyer filled with images of mouth-watering dishes people could bring. Potlucks for the people. Everyone's invited to share their treats and stories, it proclaimed in bold letters. With their prints stored in a bag, they headed out into the bustling streets of their neighborhood. Jack felt a cautious thrill. Walking with Maria felt like advancing towards a shared dream, despite the uncertainty. They started knocking on doors, each rapping echoing louder than the last. The initial faces they encountered were warmed with surprise but still shadowed by skepticism. Do we really need another potluck? Mrs. Jenkins, the elderly neighbor, asked, her brows knitting in uncertainty. Absolutely. Maria jumped in, her voice full of enthusiasm. It's our chance to come together, share stories, and try new dishes. The more, the merrier. Does everyone have to bring something? Mr. Thompson's neighbor grumbled from behind his screen door. We encourage it, Jack said, stepping forward. But if you don't have anything to bring, just come. There'll be enough for everyone. As they continued, the responses wavered between welcoming smiles and wary frowns. Each interaction felt like a small victory or a minor defeat. With every door they knocked on, the weight of the mission grew even more intense. Hey, what were you guys up to? Called Jacob, a kid from their school who had heard the chatter about the potluck. We're inviting people, Maria said, bright as a summer day. You should come. Bring something you love to eat. Yeah, I guess I could if my mom lets me, he shrugged, nonchalantly. But Jack caught a glimpse of intrigue in Jacob's eyes. Just then, a stirring voice broke through their excitement. Good intentions, kids, but do you really think this will change anything? Startled, Jack turned to see Mrs. Reynolds, a longtime resident known for her curt remarks. We believe it can be a start. Maria replied, her resolve palpable. If we each share a little piece of ourselves, we might find we have more in common than we think. For a moment, Mrs. Reynolds studied them, her expression unreadable. I suppose a good meal and a little chat won't hurt, she finally said, her tone softening. Jack couldn't shake the feeling that with each step they took, they were treading on fragile ground. As the day wore on, he could feel the excitement of possibility flicker within him. But every smile they received was met with the weight of doubt as well. Were they strong enough to pull this off? When they returned home that night, tired but energized, Jack exchanged a glance with Maria, a quiet understanding passing between them. We can do this, she whispered, and he believed her. Yet, as Jack lay in bed that night, doubts swirled around like restless shadows. Was the community really ready to open their hearts? Or would all their efforts unravel before them? The potluck was only days away. As he drifted off to sleep, the nagging question lingered, would it bring healing or further divide? The sun rose slowly, bathing the neighborhood in a soft golden light. Jack sat at his breakfast table, staring at his untouched toast. Maria's determination echoed in his mind, but so did the doubts. The moment they had waited for was nearly here. The potluck was just around the corner, and he felt like a tightrope walker, balancing between hope and anxiety. Jack, you coming or what? His younger sister, Lily, called from the doorway. She was fidgeting with a bright floral apron, her enthusiasm bright enough to fill the room. Yeah, just thinking. He managed a weak smile. About the potluck? She leaned closer, her eyes sparkling. I think it's going to be amazing. Everyone will have a blast. He wanted to share her excitement, but the niggling doubts began to surface again. What if it flops? What if nobody shows up? Lily rolled her eyes, flinging her hair over her shoulder. You can't think like that. You have to believe. I'm bringing my famous mac and cheese. Everyone loves it. Her enthusiasm was infectious. Maybe he could let the worry slide for today. Okay, mac and cheese it is. Just promise you won't burn it. Lily giggled and pulled him out of his chair. Stop worrying and help me prep. With the kitchen in chaos, they mixed ingredients and filled the air with laughter. For the first time in a while, Jack allowed himself to feel a flutter of hope. Maybe this potluck could be a spark for something more than just a meal. Maybe it could help mend old wounds as he sliced vegetables. His phone vibrated on the counter. A new message from Maria flashed on the screen. "Can we meet? I need to talk." His heart raced. Her tone felt urgent. Had she seen something he hadn't? After a quick cleanup, he grabbed his jacket and rushed to meet her at the cafe. Maria was already seated, her fingers tapping an anxious rhythm on the table. "Jack, I talked to some neighbors this morning. Not everyone is in as good a mood as we hoped." "What do you mean?" The tightness in his chest returned. "There are whispers that people think it's just a waste of time. Some even said it won't change a thing." Her eyes glimmered with both frustration and resolve. "People can be," he began, but she interjected. "Yeah, cynical. But Jack, remember Mrs. Reynolds? She said something that really stuck with me. It's not about fixing the whole community with one meal. It's about starting a conversation." Her words sank in. Maybe she was right. Change didn't come from big gestures but from small connections, conversations that led to understanding. "Do you think we should change our approach?" he asked, a fresh idea forming. Maria leaned forward, nodding excitedly. "What if we make it more personal? We could add a storytelling segment at the potluck. People could share why they made the dish they brought." Jack could see it now, each dish, a story waiting to be uncovered, threading a narrative through shared experiences. "That's brilliant. It'll break the ice for sure." As they discussed plans, a small crowd started to gather outside, their chatter and laughter drifting into the cafe. The warmth of their connection made Jack feel lighter, a smile creeping onto his face. "Do you think they're up for it?" Maria asked, glancing outside. "Honestly, I think it's worth a shot." He felt the shift and unexpected lightness in his chest. Flashes of memories and stories began swirling in his mind, the laughter, the delicious smells of home, the feeling of belonging. But as they made their way out of the cafe, something held his heart captive. If they could create that feeling for others, what kind of change might that bring? Suddenly, a shadow passed across the sun, a flurry of leaves dancing through the air. Just then, a familiar face approached. "I heard about the potluck," Jacob said, a smirk forming. "I'm in. But I better not see any weird dish." "Ah, come on. Embrace the weirdness." Maria laughed, nudging him playfully. In that moment, Jack felt a surge of warmth pulse through him, hope intertwined with determination. Maybe this potluck really would matter in ways he hadn't considered. As they strolled back through the neighborhood, anticipation buzzed in the air. But just beneath that energy, the weight of doubt lingered. Would stories heal real wounds, or only open old scars? The afternoon faded, leaving the promise of a night filled with unknown possibilities. The potluck was almost here. But would it be the bridge to connection, or simply remind them of the divides that still existed? As the sun dipped low, casting a golden glow over the neighborhood, Jack's excitement mixed with anxiety. Tomorrow was the day, the community potluck. Hours of planning, organizing, and connecting had brought everyone to this moment. But what if it all fell apart? Jack paced in his living room, his mind racing. Lily's cheerful demeanor had brightened his mood earlier, but now doubt crept in again. He thought of all the faces he had met, the expressions of skepticism and joy intertwined. Was he really doing enough to foster genuine connection? With a sudden surge of determination, Jack grabbed his phone and texted Maria. "Let us meet tonight. I want to make sure we're ready." Minutes later, he was at her door, a sense of urgency propelling him forward. "Hey," Maria greeted him, her eyes reflecting a mix of excitement and apprehension. "I was just going through last-minute preparations." They settled at her kitchen table, cluttered with colorful flyers and leftover ingredients from their earlier adventures. "I'm nervous," Jack admitted, biting his bottom lip. "What if people bring their walls instead of their dishes?" Maria laughed lightly, "But what if they don't? What if we break those walls down together? The storytelling part could be a game changer." Jack thought about that. They had decided on a storytelling session, where people could share why they chose their dish. It was more than just a meal, it was a dive into the soul. "Right? It's not just about food." "Exactly," Maria replied, her enthusiasm lighting up the dim room. is how we see each other. Look, let us focus on the people who are excited. We'll make sure everyone feels included. That's our job. As they pored over the final details, a plan began to emerge, each certainty stitching together their vision. What about a welcome speech? Jack suggested. We should set the tone, Encourage everyone to share. Good idea. She agreed, already jotting down notes with quick strokes. Let us remind them that we're all human, struggling one way or another. Hours flew by with their laughter mingling seamlessly into the night, all worries momentarily forgotten. Then, a sudden silence fell over them. They exchanged looks, a simmering realization that they were on the edge of something significant no matter the outcome as the clock ticked closer to the event. The early morning light broke, illuminating neighborhoods filled with promise. Jack and Maria arrived at the park, buzzed with a blend of excitement and nerves. Tables lined with colorful cloths awaited dishes that would soon spill life into the gathering. Slowly, families arrived, some smiling, others cautious. Jack's heart raced as he spotted familiar faces. Mrs. Jenkins, Mr. Thompson, and even Jacob, holding a box of cookies. Here, Jacob exclaimed as he approached, his laughter contagious. Told you I wouldn't bring a weird dish. As the potluck began, Jack stood beside Maria, observing the ebb and flow of the crowd. Voices mingled as people set down their contributions, each offering a piece of themselves. The tables decorated with vibrant foods became windows of stories yet to be shared. Maria took a deep breath, the weight of the moment shifting into something real. "It's happening," she whispered to Jack. In that moment, he saw it, the transformation blossoming around them. When it was time for their introduction, Jack and Maria stepped up together, heartbeats thrumming in unison. Jack felt vulnerability wash over him, but Maria's encouraging smile steadied him. "Thank you all for coming," Maria began. "Today is not just about food but the stories that connect us." Jack added, "Every dish carries a tale. Let us share those tales and build our community stronger." As they spoke, something shifted. The hesitant faces began to soften. Laughter followed heartfelt moments, and soon, conversations flowed. Each person shared memories, struggles, and triumphs. Tears wept into laughter, and walls collapsed like fragile paper. People connected over dishes infused with love and history, swallowing not just food but gathering understanding. An older man, introduced by a neighbor as a longtime resident with years of hurt, stood up and shared his story. "I thought no one cared. This gathering," he looked around, voice thick with emotion. "It means more than you'll ever know. Thank you for this." A ripple of applause erupted around him, and Jack felt the warmth pooling in his chest. This was what they had aimed for, a gathering that not only fed bodies, but nourished souls. As the sun set, painting the sky in vibrant colors, Jack watched in awe. Hope blossomed where doubt once resided. With each shared conversation, they forged connections deeper than any meal could provide. "See?" Maria whispered to him. "It's working." The night wrapped around them like a warm hug, echoing with laughter, vulnerability, and newfound resilience. Jack glanced around at the gathering. The community he had initially viewed through a lens of privilege now felt like family. This potluck was just the beginning. The real work lay ahead, but with a shared sense of understanding, he finally felt equipped to navigate the road ahead. Jack took Maria's hand in a moment of unison, their aspirations anchored in the reality surrounding them. They were no longer just individuals on the outside looking in. They were a vibrant part of a community woven together by resilient stories. Together, they would face what lay ahead. Together, they would transform. And at that moment, under the soft glow of the stars, Jack realized something profound. True wealth wasn't in what he had amassed, but in the connections forged and the love shared. Reflecting on that realization, he smiled, heart full. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but for now, they had all they needed: each other. Every moment spoke volumes as laughter drifted through the night. Change was indeed possible, and he was grateful to be a part of it. Remember, this isn't just a story, it's a movement. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, and comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share.